everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Yay! Lighting workshops. I'm a big clapper, I'm a big woohooer, and I'm a big yay person. So if that makes you cringe, I apologize, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm Indiana, I'm one of the co-founders of Cinematography for Actors. I know most of you here. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, I'm so excited that I get to meet you today. Today is something that I'm always excited about, which is lighting. My background is a cinematographer before beginning CFA. And earlier, I guess mid-year, end of year last year, we met the team at Great Video Maker, who is putting on this today with us, through Dane Fuentes from Hot Rod Camera, who is hiding over in this corner here, who I will bring out. Come on out, because Dane's the reason it's happening, actually. Yeah, it's true, because Dane connected us to Azar and Ben, who will be coming up in a second to talk about all of the crazy lights they brought, even new stuff that I've never seen before, which I'm very excited about. And we also have some goodie bags that have been placed on the table by them, so thank you for that. The reason we wanted to put on this show today, this workshop, is because it's a low-stakes environment when we can get all together and collaborate. Film is a collaborative medium, and the best part about collaboration is working with like-minded creatives. And the CFA community, we pride ourselves on hopefully having exactly that. And it's a place where you can take risks in a low-stakes environment. It's a place where manufacturers and vendors like Hot Rod Camera and Blackmagic Design, John Parento, come on up, who's going to be teaching with us today.
Like there's a talk show and you just walk.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you're seeing the middle of a podcast set that we're building for the new CFA podcast. So I apologize, it's a little wacky right now, but we're going to make do. But this is the best part about our industry to me, is connecting with vendors and filmmakers. So we have Hot Rod Cameras, who we'll introduce, as well as Blackmagic Design represented today. Dane, can you talk a little bit about what Hot Rod Cameras is for anyone who doesn't know?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're the only one that doesn't have the mic, so I apologize. All right,
okay.
Dane, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name's Dane. I work at Hot Rod Cameras. At least one of you has been there, maybe more of you. We're a store in Burbank. We're a little bit different. Our kind of MO is that we have a lot of things. We sell the major brands, but we have a lot of things on demo that you can try and get hands-on with. So everything that's represented here right now, although we didn't provide it necessarily, we do actually sell everything, and we have demo units of Blackmagic on our floor. Today we have a red camera with us, black and white, it's Komodo monochrome. We have that, DZO lenses, DesView monitors, even the Roscoe products that you see behind us. So we're the kind of place where people like GVM come, and they said to us, they were kind of new to town, newer, they've been around for a few years, said they were looking for opportunities to connect with filmmakers out in the greater community. And so we introduced them to Haley and Indy, and that's the sort of thing that kind of goes on at our place. So I have a few flyers with us and some business cards. While I'm here, you guys are free to operate the camera that I brought, but if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me about it. And I would just say generally that I encourage everybody to really take advantage of the resources here today, meaning both the people and the gear. Everybody's really friendly, very, very helpful. And if you are someone who doesn't come from a camera background, and either camera or lighting or monitoring or anything here feels intimidating to you, I can assure you it's not. All of the equipment is meant to help you and be friendly to you, so we can try to demystify any of the kind of feelings that some people have that sometimes prevent them from even wanting to try to get hands-on. And I feel like the mission of CFA to empower people to tell their own stories, that is really furthered by just taking advantage and really, get hands-on if you want, or talk to us later.
I love that. Thank you. I'm going to take this back. Thank you, Dane. Now, the second vendor, I'm just going to hold it. The second vendor I wanted to introduce you to as well is John Parento from Blackmagic Design, who is also an Emmy Award-winning visual effects artist. Is my correct?
Now you're correct, yes.
Thanks. I always say DP, and he's like, no, it's visual effects. And I said,
one Emmy for visual effects.
I just count Emmy as everything. So it's fine.
It's cool, but I just don't want to be inaccurate.
Wonderful. John, in addition to Dane being on site today to help us out today when we go practical with being hands-on with lights and cameras, John is also here. the majority of our cameras, except for what Dane brought today, which is the monochrome Komodo, is Blackmagic. And they have been a big supporter of us from the beginning. And will you talk a bit about what we have on display today that we will actually be using?
Right, so we have pretty much a wide range of cameras here. You can see right here, this is one of the studio cameras, so it's designed a little bit more for this kind of live switch studio setup. All the cameras pretty much do exactly the same thing. They just do it in a different way or have a different sensor to it. This one, studio camera, has a monitor on the back of it, has a big number on top of it, so if it's live, you can see which one is live like you'd expect in a broadcast studio. And then the one back there, you can see is more of what we call a pocket style camera. It won't fit in your pocket unless you have very large pockets, but that's what we call it. That's a little bit more of a run and gun kind of style, less expensive, but also very powerful. All the cameras are really cinema cameras. I mean, this is a cinema camera, it's considered a studio camera, but the pocket cameras and such are all cinema cameras. You can shoot a feature film with them. These ones are 6K resolution. They shoot in log and raw, and you can get as good as anything on the market as the red here, for example, even though it's black and white. We do color as well. Then on the back of the wall, there's a Pixis, which is one of the new cameras we have. It's basically the same as one of these cinema cameras, but in a box. So a box format. And the reason they do that is because it's very riggable. So if you need to fly it on a drone, or you want to put it on a crane, or you just want to hide it in places, or you just want to rig it up with a bunch of stuff, it's really mountable and riggable, as opposed to, as you can see, the pocket camera is not as riggable. Though I do have one in the back with the cage on it. You can take a look at it. It's really cool.
And the back, by the way, is on this opposite side of the wall, which we'll get to. Yes.
Yeah. To go along with what Dane said, the biggest thing about lighting is trying. And I think I was laughing with the GVM guys that the first moment we say go, you guys are all going to probably be like, I don't know what to do. My suggestion is grab a light. Just grab any light, even though you don't know the right light to grab, and bring it into one of the sets and just turn it on and try it. See what it does, and say, oh, that's not the right one. Half of lighting is experimentation and figuring out what you want to do. But until you turn on a light, you're never going to be able to figure it out. So this is the time to experiment. So definitely have fun. Use us as resources, GVM as well. We're here to help you and to talk about why you light, as well as how you light.
Great, thank you. What a beautiful, eloquent, both of you. Thanks so much. So before I bring on our main presenters today, before we go into the practical for GVM, a few housekeeping things. So welcome to the CFA studio. If you need anything, we have a fantastic team. We have my co-founder, Haley Royal, who we love. We obviously have Dane, John, we have Ben and Azar. I have Haley and Grace who are live streaming at the back. They're not gonna be much help because they're busy live streaming, but they will try. Haley is there in the blue sweater if you need anything. This is your home today, so please have fun and use it. We have obviously coffee, tea, waters. There's a little fridge there. Bathroom is located that door right there with the sink. There is a back area. If you need to take any calls, I would recommend using that back area to take calls. It's more private. You can just get through on the opposite side of this wall. There's a door that opens to there.
Be careful, there's a camera right in front of it, but the door does open.
Yes. In addition, the order of operation for today is I'm going to be introducing GVM and the team there. We'll go through what they've brought today, the app that they have. We'll have you install the app so you can try and change things from your phone even, but go through kind of what the different lights are, the characteristics from a technical standpoint. And then we've designed out kind of 4 to 5 main areas, depending on how we group out today, that we can light. We have enough cameras. We have a hell of enough lights. We have a whole area over here and a whole area here, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. And what we'll do is we'll be lighting for specific areas. So we have, a little podcast set. We have a living room area. We have an artist studio, which is a painting in the back. We have a portrait area and an office space. And we have dividers for each of those so we don't have light spill. The idea today is we want to not only get the technical down, but we also want the creative and practical. How do we use those lights they talked about? How do we turn on those features? Why would we use those features? And then creatively, everything should be motivated, right? So the decisions we make need to have reasoning behind them, not just because it looks good. It can look good, but not just because it looks good, but why are we doing things? With what intention? What is the story we're telling? And that's what we're going to be collaborating on today. So Dane and John, thank you so much. I'm kicking you out for a second. I would love to bring on Ben and Azar from Great Video Maker. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi.
Come on in. Welcome. Come on down. So Azar and Ben, we partnered with, like I said, through Dane last year, and they are huge on education, and obviously we are a nonprofit that focuses on community building and education. And so when we talked about doing a workshop together, we were like, let's get filmmakers in to learn your products, not just be, going into demos or going into stores, but actually like try them out today and see why they like things or why they don't like things. And also feedback for you guys. You're huge on the creator economy, you're huge on the creative. Come on in. You're huge on kind of creatives and filmmakers, and you have some pretty incredible lights that are really affordable and accessible for filmmakers. And so take it away. How are you guys? And thanks for coming.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be part of the CFA and being able to participate in this type of workshop, letting our lights to be in the hand of you, the creators, the filmmakers. And today we brought plenty of lights. So starting from the very small panel lights, probably the one that you see on behind the YouTube studio or like some TikTok videos, and all the way up to very professional spotlights, 300 watt, 600 watt, and those are commonly used on film sets and indie filmmakers world. So don't be scared, just like how James earlier told you guys, don't be scared, just grab a light. There's many ways to light your subject. There's many ways to light your scene, whether you go with the scene or light your subject primarily. And just grab a light, experiment with it, and throughout the workshop, if you have any questions, feel free to let me and Ben know, and we will be assisting you with all we have.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the app that we use is GVM LED. You can download that through your app stores, whether you have a Samsung or iPhone, you can get them. It's available.
So what I want to start by doing is we have a Wi-Fi here. It is CFA Cafe. You don't have to download the app, but I'd recommend it because we'll go through some of the lights and how you use it, because that'll be fun for you later if you want to change color or intensity. So in the App Store, it's called GVM LED. But our Wi-Fi first is CFA Cafe, and then it's all lowercase when you're in there. M-A-M-A, so mama, space, cat. That is the name of one of my cats. Who I adore. She's very sweet. But it's Mama Cat, all lowercase with a space between Mama and Cat. That should get you onto the CFA Cafe Wi-Fi. Once you are on there, you are going to go to whatever app store you have, depending on your phone, and download GVM LED. Should be free. Should be like pretty quick to download, but give you a second to download it. Yes. Dane.
Awesome. By meeting you guys, remember, and I forgot to mention that we have a coupon code.
Oh, amazing.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, you guys remember what it is. Maybe you could mention it.
Yeah, I'll send it to everyone too.
Yeah, we have it, and we give it to CFA as well.
Yeah.
So it should be available for all of you.
Yeah. So I'll email it. Yes.
Do you mind just restating them for the microphone?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're also partnering with Hot Rod Camera. So through them, you can get 10% discount on any GVM LED products.
We love it.
Yep.
We love saving money. So as that's downloading, no worries, we will also help you if you can't find it. What I'd love to do is, could you pull out one of each group of lighting? So from the panel lights to the more professional lights, and then at least we can get some hands-on experience from you guys opening it and talking about it. And then we'll go from that. Great.
Yeah, let's do that.
Awesome. Great. So what we'll do is we're going to pull out, I wanted to do this because for me, I'm always scared of touching new lights and just knowing how they work. And so I want you guys to feel comfortable when we get you in front of the cameras with talent. We have wonderful talent here today. We have Johnny raising his hand. We have Thomas, who's probably in the back there. Great. And we have Emily.
Yeah, this one.
So you'll actually be able to light faces today too, which is great.
Let's also grab a softbox.
Before we start anything, does anybody have any questions that are just
tube lights?
I don't know about
I think this is good.
Anybody want to ask anything? Get you rolling before we dive in. Go.
Is there a way to take some of the footage and want to go in some correction?
Sure, yeah. We'll be recording everything through our switcher today. We'll be recording on this camera separately to the switcher as well, so it'll be higher res. But yes, I can get you that footage. Yeah, that's fine.
Should I?
Totally. Great. Awesome. Perfect. So we're going to grab some panel lights and stuff. And then I am going to get you in a power drop, which I should have some over here. And then we'll go through everything. What's everyone's experience level with lighting? I know we have some DPs in the room, because I know some of you. But talk to me about what kind of targets are for today. Just general lighting advice? Yeah? Okay. Any things you kind of are trying to shoot at the moment, like genre-wise, that we should target, whether it's genre like drama, horror, comedy, anything like that? Thriller, yeah, your disability film challenge, yeah.
I was actually trying to figure out how to light myself.
Okay, great.
Like I see a lot of like interesting like just like colored backlights and some pop.
Fun.
Something
Great.
entertaining while speaking.
Love it.
Not just like a flat back.
Awesome. What we have today is we have like a little portrait camera over here. And so I'll probably put you in that group so that we can focus on kind of if you're kind of doing like an MC or a close-up, how we can kind of light that, and you can try it with different, whether it's like 360, so like RGB, so all the colors, or if it's just like your normal daylight and stuff. But we can go through that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Comedy and mockumentary. Okay, cool. Amazing. So like probably full lighting, but like a little more naturalistic, but seeing everything. Cool. Awesome. Maybe the office space would be good for that. That's great. Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Haley. Amazing. And if anyone on the... Oh, yeah. That makes sense. If anyone on the live stream as well has any suggestions for what they want to see, we're happy to show that. Awesome. So what we'll do is once they get these set up, we'll bring them in, and I'm going to close the garage door and add some blackout blinds to our windows so that you can see everything. But great. Sweet. I'm so excited. We have new lights we're playing with today. This is so cool.
So my big story with LED lights is that when I was a cinematographer, mostly when I started as a cinematographer, it was all film and it was all lights, like light bulbs, like big tungsten lights, and the old style light bulbs kind of lights. I don't know what to call them. The incandescent lights. The LEDs came later, and so understanding how LEDs work has always been really difficult for me because the light reacts differently and does different things than it does in the incandescent world. So I still am learning about how that works.
Do you have to use a special filter on the lens with LED lights compared to how you use it?
No, not at all. No, it's really just if you imagine an incandescent
blackout
bulb.
blinds. We grab the blackout blinds. They're on the back table over there.
It's basically when that's just light coming out. It's just light coming straight out. So it's one light source generating light coming out. LED is a bunch of tiny little light sources all shooting out. So the way that light reacts is different than on a regular light bulb light. And that's a big part of lighting, is understanding how the light rays come out of the light, because that determines how soft or hard the light is, and how you manipulate that, how you make it softer if you want it soft, or how you can make it harder if you want it harder.
And you can do that with LED lights, make them harder to light.
Yeah, and probably not quite as hard as an old incandescent light, but yes.
And then we had another question in the back over here. Hey.
Yes. Is there a way, because I know you guys said you're going to close the garage door, but in a situation where you're in a room, you're trying to film, but during the day, and you don't have like blackout curtains and there's like a light source, maybe a large window, how do you work around that? Or is there a certain light placement?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have blackout and you have to use available light in addition but still want style, there's a few options. So today what we have is we have floppies here in solids. That's a way that you can always push in to add negative fill, which means that you would add like a contrast. But if you didn't have anything and all you had was an additional light and natural light, is you would then look at what your space looks like. So you would position your subjects that obviously work for blocking, but position your subjects in a way that most benefits you. So how far can you get from the light you have coming in? Or do you want to use that light and then just add the light that you have back here as a kick, right, to bring them out from the background? You can just you just are looking at the intensity of the light that you have and how much that can compare to what is coming in. But something I'm always doing is, and something that, there's some great DPs in this room with us who probably do the same thing, but you'll start to notice when you go to like restaurants or you're in your own home how light reflects around you and in that environment and how you can best use that. So for instance, with this garage door open, not only do I have light coming that is like mixed colored because I have the light from the sky, but I also have light bouncing off vans, I have light bouncing off the white walls, I have light bouncing off of different colors. It's not all like one continuous color. but I also have light coming actually up from me. So it's not just like, hi, it's here. So when we look around our environment, when you're only using available light and maybe you have just like one light to play with, you really want to look at everything as a whole first. And then, do I need that light? If I do, where would it be best for me? The sun's always going to be the strongest light that you're going to have. So it's going to be hard to compete unless you have like a mirror board or a mirror. Like if you go to like IKEA or the hardware store, have a mirror in your house so you can take it off a wall. That you can grab the sun with you and bring around with you so you can change the direction of the light. The best thing that you can do, like with the accessibility, you know, from an accessibility standpoint of not having everything with you all the time, is literally look within your environment of, oh, can I put, I don't know, this is like really a fun way to do it, but can I throw up my mattress, or can I block it with a dresser, you know, the light, half the light coming out because I only need a sliver of light coming out. Can I close my bedroom door and like turn on the kitchen light so I only get a little coming in and I have like a white door there that it's going to reflect a little off of. So you can really play around, but I would just, wherever you're shooting, analyze your environment and figure out, okay, naturally, if there's windows, where is the light coming in? At what time of day is it hottest? At what time of day is it soft? If you have a bed sheet, you can clip your bed sheet to the window and that'll diffuse it, which means that it'll soften that light. Or you can do shower curtains, which make it a little less soft. And then if you don't have windows, then you see, okay, what are the lights I have access to that are practical? And then if I only have one GVM unit, you know, how can I best utilize that unit? Is it my key, meaning it's like my main source that I'm lighting with intention? Is it like my fill, which means what this kind of bounce is doing? Like, actually, I would say this is maybe my key right now. I mean, okay, this is my key, and then that's my fill, right? So maybe I'm using it as a fill, so I'm going to turn it towards a white wall, which will give me more spill from it, more bounce. Or do I use it as my backlight because I want something harsher behind? Bob Richardson, very famous DP who shoots all of Tarantino's films, is very famous even when he did Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts, which I love. He still did the same style as he did a Tarantino film, which is he lights on the top of desks shooting back up, and he also lights hard behind you. Oh, thanks. So you can kind of figure out what style you want. There's no one way to do something. And that's the best part about lighting, is does it work for the story? Am I going to be consistent? And when I choose to be inconsistent, it has to be for a reason. But just because you only have maybe one light doesn't mean you can't light a whole scene. We just have to get creative with it. And that's like what we can kind of have fun with today. You can try, like, the best advice I've ever gotten, and maybe you've ever gotten, is turn off every light and start with one. And that's because you want to understand what things are doing, and you want to understand how they work together. And a lot of the time, it can be overkill or overwhelming when you're suddenly like, why is this shot not working? Why is this shot not looking the way I want it to look? And the best help you can have is turn off every light and then start from ground zero and be like, oh, okay, I actually only need this, and then like a little fill here, you know? But we'll get into that today. Long-winded answer, but yeah.
One addition to that,
yeah.
Your note, don't fight what you have.
Yes, correct.
Try to find a way to work with it.
Yeah.
Unless you have the way to block the light out, then work with it and use it. There are ways, for example, a lot of people will use daylight as moonlight.
Yes.
So with color temperature, if you're using tungsten lights inside, you set your camera to tungsten so that looks like white.
Yeah.
And then what's coming in through the window will look very blue, like moonlight. So you can use that kind of technique to use the light that's coming in and not light.
Yeah. And the final thing, what I talked about, which Haley Royal was listening so closely and brought me my bag of tricks, is my cheap dollar store items, which I love, which are great for everyone to have. But you'll see, like, you know, this is existing light I have to light a scene, but if I add white to it, it completely changes what we're seeing, right? And that's a bed sheet. And you can use a pillowcase. The best thing is if you have grimy old pillowcases, you call those, what they do is they dip them in tea baths they used to, like to dye to get like muslin a little darker, and so it's not as bright white. And so that's a really fun way. So if you can actually experiment with dyes at home if you want like something that's a little more subtle. That's more like day gray, it's called, which is an expensive fabric, but if you just dye it in like an Earl Grey tea bath a few times and leave it out in the sun, you'll get a much warmer reflected light bouncing up. That's one thing. Another thing is a shower curtain liner, which is going to look a little different than that. It's not as harsh. And also, this is great because if I held it up to the sun, Dane, will you hold it up? Thanks. So if I hold it up to the sun and say I like got here and said, it's going to diffuse, thank you so much, it's going to diffuse the light differently as it's coming in, which changes how soft or hard units are, right? And that's just stuff that we have at home. Thank you so much. You can drop that. Here's something that's a little more like muslin, because I think it actually is muslin, but it's a cheap muslin. I got it at H&M in the clearance section. I think it's a tablecloth for $2, which I was very proud of. You know, this is going to have a very different look than, just put this out of here.
Because of the color, you're going to get the color of it as well.
And the fabric, like how thick it is. So, thank you. Yay! Oh, okay, wow. I was like, wow, we have foam core, and then I was like, it's a poster. So something to keep a note, right, when you're trying out different fabrics. And you could even, I've even used my like winter coats as a Canadian. I have so many long winter coats, and I've used those as like negative fill. So I attach those to blackout light, or the inside of coats when they have like shearing or whatever it is. Yeah, I can use that. But like there's two ways you can use modifiers, right? And we'll get into that today. Is you can use it to bounce or obstruct light, or you can use it to between your subject or whatever you're lighting and the unit itself. So the unit could be the sun, so they held it up, right? So you'll have two different things. You'll have how the light comes through something, and you'll have how the light bounces off of something. And that's the way that you can start to like evaluate how you want the quality of light to change, right? And also, you can fold this up. See, I can go into a bunch of little tips like this and distract everyone from getting to looking at these lights, so I'll be quick. But the best thing about this is, say you only need a little kick, just fold it up to the size you want it and place it in the position where you just need maybe a little eye light. Because now I'm getting a white eye light bouncing up rather than fully illuminating my face as much, versus, you know, all of it coming out is a much harsher look. So choose kind of the sizing of the bounce you want, as well as the quality of the light based on the fabric. Anything to add to that?
Be aware of that, the fact that where that light is coming from is also telling that story a little bit too. Yeah. Under light has a different feel than a side light or a top light. Yes. So it's going to tell a different story, and that you have to determine whether that's telling your story.
Yeah. John wanted foam core.
Oh, I was just going to say, we talked about the sunlight.
Yeah.
Here.
Yes.
Stand in the sun.
Sure.
So you have a lot of power to bring in light. If you have to deal with the sunlight, you're going to have to, the way to compete with sunlight, to bring in a fill light, if you're going to have to deal with the sun, is use the sun.
Yeah.
So if you can bounce the sun back in on her face from an angle, give her a little core in the middle, so it keeps, you know, a little bit of shape to her face, but you're still using the sun to come back in and bringing up the level there. So there's different ways.
Someone asked about sitcom lighting, which would be more frontal.
Yeah, more frontal. Which
you want everything illuminated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So equal on both sides, or beauty lighting from the front. Old movie stars used to have it where they would bring their own lighting person on set a lot of the time, and they would light down here, and that gives you like the nice nose shadows and stuff, but it's very flattering. I have my box of tools here today that everyone can play with. In addition, I have Cinefoil, which will cut your fingers if you're not careful, so please be careful with it. But you can wrap this around units today so that you can change how much is coming out. So you can just rip them apart today. But you'll just change how much is coming out the light. If you want it to be more narrow, just putting it on someone's eye, you know, because it's more stylistic. You can do that. So I have Cinefoil today. I have clear shower curtains, which I think are really fun, because it's like, what is it going to do? You know what I mean? And so you can kind of have fun with it. It'll create patterns. And I have like some black curtain that is a black bed sheet, which I've never slept on black bed sheets, but.
No, we bought those specifically for a lighting.
Okay, great. I was like, I don't know. Anyway, nothing has been slept on. It's true. But you can kind of choose how you're using this today. But the idea is to play around with things you have at home a lot of the time. Even when you're trying to take a photo at a restaurant and they have white menus, you can use that to make your lighting better if they have top lights, because I hate a top light. Anyway, we have lots of homemade tools.
Let me touch on negative fill quickly, because whenever you get into a set lighting, particularly at our level when we're doing indie stuff and we can't really build a set or control a massive set, you have a lot of light sometimes, and you don't want a lot of light. You want some shape on faces and things like that. That's where negative fill comes in.
Yes.
Negative fill is basically just a black object that sucks up the light.
Yes.
So if you're standing here and you got a great key light coming here, but there's a white wall in the distance here that's giving you fill, put something black or dark right here. It will suck up the light and prevent it, and then you get a nice core again on the face. So that's a good way to a very inexpensive way to model the light on the face, rather than trying to deal with, oh no, there's a big wall, I got to put a big thing covering the wall or something like that.
Yeah, my final thing to keep in mind today, and then we're going to go into the units. Thank you so much.
You keep having final things.
I do that a lot. I'm always like, but they need to know this. Is Bradford Young, very famous DP who shot Arrival, among other things, but Arrival has like a whole YouTube video that he talks about using Cook lenses and all this stuff. But the best part is he also talks about practicals. Practicals just mean like this shell lamp we have here. So like a light you might already have, something that could be practically within the scene. So any lamp that you have at home. Practicals, what I love is what he talks about is adding foam core around it. So what John showed, because then you can bring up the lights you already have. Because if you're shooting in an environment like your room, or you're trying to do a self-tape and you don't have a ton of space, you can try and bring up and reflect back the light that's already available, or make it look like a practical in the frame if you're going to cut to a wide where that practical is there, because it needs to match between shots a lot of the time.
There is a practical on the desk back here,
yes,
and one in the kind of glamour area, so you can see how that can affect not only the lighting, but also using that to create depth in the frame too.
Yes, awesome. Thanks for everything, for bearing with me. Come on in. What do we have? I'm going to pull these lights in, and then I'm going to close this door so that we can see the powers of the stuff in. Come on in, everybody. Thanks for waiting out there. Come on in. Haley, Royal, will you find some seats for people who've come in? Thank you. Cool. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. All right,
Haley?
watch out, John.
Yeah.
We're trying to get these two to like reconnect. Mm-hmm. If not, can you transfer them onto whoever's talking? These ones? They're not. Yes, I can. Okay. I think if you just put them back in the box with the.
You're gonna put blacks up?
Yeah. And then Haley Grun, can I borrow you?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, great. Thank you. Here you go. It has magnets on the top. So I add it right above, like here. Yeah. And then I have clamps for the bottom. Oh, thanks. Perfect. Whatever you need. Yeah, thanks. And I'll just add that last one there. Great. Will you just hook that one up as well? You just throw that orange piece in. Yeah. Thank you. I'll get some tape for this guy, maybe. Yeah. Or actually, yeah. I have extra lamps too. Great. And then we'll just tape stuff off too. Thanks. All right. I'm gonna try that. I'll tape that down. All right, that's pretty dark. All right, what do we have, Ben and Azar?
Let's start with, so we brought a few variation of lights that we have. So this is the panel light, and there's different models that we offer as well. So this is roughly, I believe, 30 watts of output. And with this light, you get a roughly 2x1 rectangle style light. So you can prop it for Thank you. You can use it for your advantage, obviously. So based on its shape, so very thin, very lightweight, you can mount it up to virtually anywhere, or you can bring it up close to your subject without cutting into your frame. And also with this included barn door, you can shape your light. For example, you just want a little bit slice of light, you can basically close all this barn door down to create that shape. And this light offers bicolor output, so you can do very warm light like this, so to mimic, let's say, like a lamp indoor or like a sunlight. And you can also do 5,600 Kelvin. This is a daylight equivalent. All right, and with the bed sheets and all that modifier, let's say light modifiers, you can prop it in front of it to further diffuse the light. If you think the light is too strong on your subject, or you want to diffuse it, make it less visible, then you can use these modifiers to diffuse the light even more. All right. Now let's talk about, Okay, so this is our spotlight model. So this is what very commonly seen on film sets and indie filmmakers very commonly use. So back in the old days, there's a tungsten lights. ARRI make this tungsten light, HMI lights. Those are very effective. They've been used throughout the film history, but due to its tungsten features, it can get very hot. That's what makes LED so different from tungsten. So LED virtually creates very little heat compared to tungsten and more power efficient. So with 300 watt output, you can get up to 1,200 watt tungsten equivalent output. So this light, very similar to the previous one, gives you, so right now we're at 100%. So this is 5,600 daylight. You can dim it down all the way to 2,000, create this warm glow of sunlight. We can also do RGB with this. Let's say you're shooting a bar scene or like a night scene. You want to mimic a moonlight. You can dial it to blue to mimic that moonlight. So with RGB output, you can basically create any color combination. Let me dim it down a little bit. Okay, next thing is, so what we call at the front is called the Bowen's mount. It's a very standard mounting option found on many lights. So we also offer many different kind of inbuilt light modifiers. So this is what we call a China bowl or a lantern. Basically, this will diffuse your light and also create this 360 glow to very equally illuminate your subject. So what it does to subject's face is it will create a very soft glow. So you get the light and the shadow, very minimum contrast. You can also prop it up above your subject to do a top-down lighting. This is very effective to light up the entire area. All right, the last option we have here, let me turn this up. Okay, so this is what we call a tube light. And it's lightweight. You can power it with battery, but we plugged it in right here. So what you can do is prop it in front of your camera and create this nice catch light on their eyes. So in order to make your subject look alive, you want to see some like a catch light. But also you can use it to your own advantage. If you, let's say you're trying to portray this serial killer character in your movie, then you probably don't want any catch light in their eyes. You want a pitch black eyes to portray that character. All right, and this can be virtually prompted anywhere. Just like earlier, we can probably put it on the ground, get some low lighting, or you can put it on virtually in the back. Let's say we want to mimic that lamp over there, and we can stuck it behind it and use the output coming from this, because this gives you more output than that lamp, but you can tune it to the same color temperature to mimic that light. All right.
And something I want to mention for tube lights is like, I'm not a huge fan of tube lights, but I like, a lot of people are. It's just like where your own personal preference comes in. But the best thing I love tube lights for is two things. And this is just obviously my opinion, right? And you'll start to learn as you use lights what you gravitate towards as like your own artist. Like I was gonna say as a DP, but a lot of us here are doing everything. What I love tube lights for is two things. One, I love it as a backlight. So I love it as like, I'm sorry, will you stand over here?
Yeah.
Thanks. So I love it as it's going to be narrow, so you're not gonna see it in the back. You can kind of always mount it to the side. And then you can kind of go over people as a backlight, you know, and it's softer. If you want something harder, then you can kind of choose a harder spotlight. But I like that this is always going to be pretty contained and I can just move it up and down and then light from the sides. The reason I don't like it as a frontal light a lot of the time is because you can't control it a lot. So you can't really, it's a really soft light. So you're not going to be able to control the output a lot. You can add that cinefoil, which is that black foil, but it's still going to kind of be all over the place. So that's why I like it as a backlight. And I also like it as an environment light, which means a lot of people will put short, like 1 foot or 2 foot in the cars, you know, to act as like car lights in front of you or to light the dash. So I like it as an environment light specifically, as well as a backlight. But that's where, like, as you're playing with stuff, you're like, okay, this one, like, what would I use it for? Would I come up, would I boom up on it and then I would kind of come over because I can light a dinner table with something like this because it would get like 4 people sitting around a table? Do I want to light it with a beauty light? Like, try it today on, you know, Johnny or Thomas or Emily when they're sitting in. You know, what does it look like when I put it in front? How does that eye light look? Because for YouTube, that might actually look pretty incredible because you have a circular eye light pulled back. It's very beauty heavy because you're not getting a lot of shadows. You have to add in your shadows based off of like negative fill that you have. For something like this, it's like more general lighting that I would say you need a lot of modification on. So either you're going to bounce off of something. So if you turned this on, you know, sorry, watch out, watch your eyes, everybody.
Yeah, the other side.
This one? Oh yeah,
This one.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, bouncing off of white, right? It's a soft fill I'm getting from one side, or do I want to do it direct on? Today, I would say, like, try and think about lighting not as just like I'm going to aim it at someone, but how can I bounce off my environment based off of the scene that I'm shooting, or how can I modify that light? Because a lot of the time, the reason we have grip packages on set is because we want to modify the light that we have to tell the story. So how does it wrap? How does it shape? How does it bounce? You know, how does it give me an edge? Things like that. But you'll figure that out today. Let's talk about the app.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So if you guys got the app, let's see. So all these lights can be operated from the same app. You can group it together. You can dim it down, change their color temperature, and everything in between. So all you have to do is go to the menu section, find wireless setting, and first you want to Bluetooth reset. Once it's fully reset, then you can add your device from the app. It will show up instantly. Give it a sec. All right. Now I got this one. So through the app, as you can see, you can all the color temperature option. You can do dimming curve. You can also get green and magenta shift. So with your color temperature in your camera, if you want to match it exactly, I would suggest utilize the green and magenta shift option. Intensity, and also special effects. One thing I want to mention, the special effects. So let's say you want to mimic a lightning scene. Just like that, and we offer many more options. For example, a paparazzi. Camera flash, there you go. And also you can do a TV scene. And everything is achievable from the app. And try to link all the lights in your disposal into the same app. That way, easier to control and save you plenty of time. Yes, of course.
Yes. How does the lantern differ from a parabolic light box with a grid?
Yeah. So we brought the parabolic softbox as well. You have the option to use them as well. So parabolic softbox, basically, it doesn't have these parts. So it's just very frontal. So your lighting direction, it's basically facing where where your softbox is facing. And usually the parabolic softbox come with the honeycomb grid. That will further diffuse your light and control your light spill. So you get way more contrasty image compared to this one. This one gives you a 360-degree light fill. So under subject, if you put it directly, you get very, how do I say, like soft fall off of from your contrast to your shadow, to your light side to your shadow side. Yeah, no problem.
Does the lantern come with a skirt?
Not this one, but we do have a different version. It will offer the skirt. you can further control the light. Yeah,
And
that's
do
right.
you have the Fresnel for the top light?
Yeah, we brought the Fresnel. That one will be only working with the bigger light. So this is 300 watt. We also have a 650 watt. It will be compatible with that. Yeah.
And let's define for people who don't know what a skirt is.
So skirt.
Self-explanatory, but let's define it.
Yeah. So skirt is basically like a female skirt that open up. So you can basically use the Velcro on the side of the lantern. You can attach it to the lantern to control your light spin. For example, I don't want this light to spilling on the ceiling. I can put it on top. That way the light will only go from the bottom. I only want to light up the ceiling, then we can put it on the bottom.
Or say you're doing a dinner scene and this is over top of the table, but you only wanted it to reflect off of the table. Then you would maybe add a skirt around it.
Exactly.
To get the spill off the back wall behind your subjects. That's also a way to use it. And then
For now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, what other terminology? Yeah.
Let me answer this question real quick. I'll get to you. Yeah. So for now, is like a same attachment using the same Bowens mount that we have here. You can attach it in front of the light to shape your light. So for now, we'll drastically increase your light output. So it's basically multiple elements, optical elements working together to either you control the beam angle of your light. You want a narrower beam, you can use a narrow angle, or if you want a like further beam angle, further spread, you can use that to achieve.
So that's where flooded spot come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like when you're spotting, it's kind of like putting the magnifying glass in the sun to like burn pieces of wood.
That's the most common use of it, yeah. For now, are mainly used to mimic sunlight, basically.
I did change it from ants because I was like, I don't do that. Yes.
So how much do we need to understand contrast ratio if we're going to film something, or is it something that we can worry about later?
You can't worry about it later. You do want to assign it or define it in your story in pre-production or production. You can alter it a little in post with color, but if you don't have that contrast inherently, you're not going to get it. And it's going to be really hard depending on how you're shooting, the format you're shooting, to like have your colors painted in and it still look good. So you do want to define it beforehand. So whether it's whether you're doing like 4:1 or 3:1 or 2:1, you would define that before and try and keep it pretty consistent. I will grab my light meter as well that you guys can play with. The light meter, if anyone doesn't know, is a tool that cinematographers or gaffers will use on set. You have yours?
I brought mine in the car.
Oh, great. I have mine too. So we'll have two around. I don't even have a mic. I'm just yelling, and we have ambient. We have ambient. Okay. I promise. We're not.
I had something to say about this as well.
Yeah, one sec. Let me just finish about light meter, and then I'll get to you. Light meter is going to be a tool that I'll come around with today that's really easy for you to look at contrast ratio. Yeah.
I want to talk about contrast ratio as well. Yeah. Nowadays, with modern tools, with digital, I don't know who asked that question, but right with the digital tools, with DaVinci Resolve, for example, which we make, you can manipulate a lot of that in post-production. So the two things to remember: number one, better to get it close to what you want it on set, and know that you can push it a little further in post, rather than, giving up on set or expecting to make miracles happen in post. But similarly, if you want a really high contrast, you're doing a horror film or something like that, and it's going to be a lot of blacks, do not light it that way. Always have a base, a core level in your blacks, even though you don't want it to look that way in the final product, because you can bring that down in post. But if you don't put any light there and you don't expose anything, you've got nothing there, and you're never going to be able to tweak or adjust or anything like that. So always at least have a base level in your dark so that you can tweak it later.
And what that means is, that comes from film days, where in order to get any information, you had to add light in order for it to kind of be picked up by the film grain. But nowadays, yes, in your shadows, you have a lot of noise. So if you'll bring it up and you don't have any information there, it's just like falsifying the information by amplifying the gain in the camera sensor. But specifically, it just means adding in a little bit of information so that it's recording something in your bare levels of black and darkness, your shadows.
Yeah, a little fill light in those shadows so that you can bring it down in post, but the sensor has something to react to. Similarly, when you do low light photography, make sure that you always have something close to key in the frame. Sensors like even if it's a small, spot on the wall in the background or a light bulb and a lamp, sensor's like something to grab onto. If you have nothing, if you're underexposing everything, it's going to be very noisy no matter what camera you use. So just make sure you always, and you can tweak that in post. Remember, you can bring that and mold that in post-production with color grading.
Great. And we had a question? Yeah.
The 3:1, 4:1, what's that?
That's just the contrast, like the literal ratio that you're doing. So from shadow to highlight. So like a 1-to-1 would mean your shadow is equal to your highlight. So it's kind of like fully lit like a sitcom. You don't have a lot of shadow. 2-to-1 would be if half your face is twice as bright as the shadow side of your face. 4-to-1 would be extreme contrast. So the higher that ratio, the more contrast you have between your shadows and your highlights as your main key lighting.
And that's where a light meter comes in handy. In modern day, we don't use a lot of light meters, but you can figure out those contrast ratios a lot easier when you have something like a tool of a light meter.
Yeah, which measures your shadows and your highlights. So you point at the room, so spot or I don't use the other one. What's the other one?
Incident.
What?
You have a spot meter?
I have a spot, yeah.
I use an incident meter.
Oh, amazing.
Incident.
The
other
so like there's two ways of looking at light. There's spot and incident,
we're
which
on
we'll
the
go through
opposite
today.
lens of that.
And we are on the opposite lens of that, which is really fun and just shows you again that, different DPs have different likes.
But basically, you can read how much light is falling on one side, the other side, or an average. Well, an incident meter can average, but anyway, we'll talk about that. Anyway, sorry, Azar, come on back. Let's get people set up on the app too. Let's make sure that in addition to your phone, people are able to access it. Was anyone able to access lights yet on the front? Okay.
You have to reset the Bluetooth.
Yeah, we have to reset it. So
Perfect.
it will be easier once they assign
Awesome.
to their light.
Only one person that can be connected to one light at a time.
No, you typically, multiple person can connect to multiple lights.
So if someone's in the other room, they hit the wrong button, they might turn your light on?
No, like once you connect it, it will be secure with you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but anybody can.
You're connected to this light, so
If I'm already connected, no, you won't be able to.
Yeah.
Great. So
you have to reset the Bluetooth to do that.
Yes, Grace, did you have a question in the back? Or you were just waving at someone?
Yeah, I was waiting for some mic sound.
Awesome, great. Great, so what we'll do is when people choose the lights, we'll go into each individual group and one person can act as the gaffer and have that on
And me
phone.
and Ben can walk around and assist you with connecting
Love
to the
that.
app. Yeah.
Can we talk about the other lights that people have to choose from today
Other lights?
that you brought so that we know what's on offer for when we're going to pick?
So we have different version of this panel light. So it will be the easiest to use if you want to start with something easy. And we also have different version of this one. So we have a 300 bicolor, which only gives you daylight to tungsten light. This is the color version, so give you RGB capabilities as well. We have a 650 watt light, which is very strong. You can probably use it to light a larger scene. And we have flexible light mat, I believe.
Light mat is.
Yeah. So flexible light mat is type of light that is virtually very thin, like a cloth. It's a cloth light. So you can prop it anywhere, handheld it. It's very lightweight. And whichever you want to use, you can use them all combined together and to achieve the look you want.
Awesome. So what I want to do is I'd love to assign people different areas. What we'll do is we'll go shopping. So we'll work with Ben, Azar, and Dane, and John.
Yeah.
And we will grab lights and have them set up with you guys so you can take them out of the box. A lot of them are new, right?
Yeah, some are new, some are used.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we'll take lights out of the box and then we'll assign areas for your different groups to go into. And then you'll pick kind of the theme, whether it's the genre, the story you're trying to tell, and we'll try out lighting. And then what John and I will do is we'll visit each group and we'll talk about motivations, why you're trying stuff, maybe you want to try this. But the idea is not for me to tell you how to light, but to have you try out what you want to light, and then I can help you hopefully tell that story properly, or however properly is defined by you. But let's get up, let's come over, let's talk with Ben and Azar, let's go through all the lights. So I'm gonna open this door and we'll actually bring out all the lights in here. Do you guys want me to choose your groups, or do you want to choose your own groups? What do you want? What? You'll choose your own groups. Love that. Okay, great. So I'll tell you our groups. We have podcast set. So let's say we'll have 2 talent with cross coverage. We'll have a living room set or artist studio. You can pick. We'll have office space. We'll have portrait lighting. which is going to be like a single on somebody where we do close-up, or MCU or close-up on somebody for like fine-tuning highlight. So I would say pick your group. I'd say 4 to 5 people per group is probably good. If there's anyone that like wants me to assign them, I will. And then I would say maybe pick your form. This is me figuring it out in my head because we've never done this big lighting workshop, so thanks for bearing with me as I think it out. Pick your group, you know your areas. Once you have your group and your story down, come to Ben and Azar, pick out the lights that you want, bring them over, we'll help you get them set up, we'll help you get a camera, and then we'll shoot from there. Yes?
Just
yes.
to clarify what you were saying,
yes.
You don't mean story as in you're expecting everybody to come up with scripts, right?
No, I expect like, I'm gonna shoot in the artist studio and it's a drama, or it's a comedy, or it's horror, or there's a lighting effect coming out the window, but like the story of the shot. Yeah. Genre and person. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Does that sound good? Yeah. We'll give it a go? Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect.
Gravitate to the area you want to be in groups of. All right. Congrats, everyone. Yay. Round of applause. You worked your brain and your bodies because it's it's labor intensive and creative. So fun. All right. Team artist studio. Start us off. Whoever wants to. Explain where you're at, what you did.
Okay, so our challenge was lighting 2 different skin tones. And so our lovely our lovely actors, we got them in, we centered them, and then one of the issues we were having that we were trying to work around was the light placement and having them be separating them but making them seem like they're in the same place visually. So we adjusted this light to aim more so on the art piece back here, and then brought it down. And then one of the things was like she was having. I'm so sorry. No, you're good. People can. She was having too much. The exposure on her right side was too bright. Was overexposed. So what we did was lower the light, point it towards the painting, to get rid of that. And we can actually. Can you guys all see this? Can we press play on the thing we recorded? Yep. So what we did was kind of play around with it, and it's like, oh, let's do a pan and see what it looks like, and it came out pretty fucking dope. I'm sorry.
Great. No, please. It did come out pretty fucking dope.
Oh, I like that.
So it's like a.
Love the reveal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great job. Good contrast.
All right, extra credit.
Yeah, you nailed it. Good work.
All right. Rest of the team. Anyone else want to add?
Yeah. No, not really. I mean. Yeah, it was just, I mean, we started just with, we swapped back and forth. We started with Haley, and sorry, what was your name again? Johnny. We started with Haley, swapped to Johnny, and then Haley was like, now we're going to do both skin tones. I was like, okay. Sorry, it was Johnny's idea. So, yeah, it was interesting because we started with kind of Haley in a very, I guess what I would describe as intensely intimate, where it was like even tighter on her. We had the framing of the actual art piece itself took up most of the frame. So it was just kind of her in the left corner and kind of lighting it as if she was more intensely deciding what her next choices were going to be. And then when we added both of them, we kind of diffused the tension, so to speak, and made it a little more open. See a little bit more of the space as well as both of their faces, and just kind of make it feel like it's a little more of a intimate scene between 2 people with the photograph, a la, as you referenced, the pottery scene in Ghost, but just a photo and not exactly as in-depth, so to speak. So yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else from the team want to add?
It was just us 2.
Oh, I love it. Congrats. Sold it. I love it. If anyone wants to do a peek, feel free to get closer and do a peek if Haley and Johnny would stay for a sec. And then if you... Oh, great. Then let's go over to our podcast set.
I wish I had a monitor
for yours, yeah, I know.
Just because we covered...
Oh, can we go to that room?
Yeah.
The audience, someone has to come in from this side.
Okay, cool.
They can't see the monitor.
Got it. But we could just talk about your intention and then have people. Great. All right, we're at our podcast set. Who's the team? Great. Crystal, start us off, or anyone on the team, talk to us about your vision here.
So we actually decided to change it from a podcast scene to more of a romantic, intimate scene.
Beautiful.
And I noticed the style lately has been raking shots or people shooting like behind the couch or from the back seat. And so we did a reverse key light on the back side of the actors and then kind of filled it in from our side. And there was a lot of challenge with like the backdrop being too hot and things like that. So we used the shower curtain to diffuse her face to try to even it out as much as we could.
I love it. Wow.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from the team?
This was fun because when I'm shooting my stuff, I have 3 like 1-foot panel lights that don't do much. So we're usually pretty tight, but this was fun because it's a bigger space, more lights. So just being able to play with that to find like a good composition was fun.
Awesome. And did we shoot a few seconds on this one as well?
I did not, but
Let's
I
do it
will
right now
do
while we're
that.
talking,
Yeah.
just so we can play it back later. Any questions about this or comments? Yes.
Can we see it in color?
No. You shot it? You have it?
Yeah, we have a different camera.
Yeah, let's switch over. Let's put it in. Well, this is a monochrome camera, but we can do it on that. So here, let me patch it in.
Yeah,
Do
I'll
you-
record while you can just cross.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna cross.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me just focus on this too.
Yeah, do that.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, come on over. Yeah, if you want. If you want to see the color version, come on this side to come look, because I can't patch it in right now. But it surprisingly diffuses it a little. Even though it's clear, it does diffuse it. Yeah.
So the way that it diffused it, notice that we used it in a kind of bunched up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly to diffuse it as much as what we were trying to do wasn't to diffuse it as much as break it up a little bit so that it wasn't one solid, flat, even flow of light on her. Like a lot of times in movies, say restaurant scenes, you might have the shadow of a branch or a lamp fixture. You know what I mean? Something just to break it up a little bit, because we could see before we did that it was just very clearly a source of light on her face. And the reason is that light was directly on her face. Usually you'd have it bounced or shine through some kind of diffusion, but in this case, it was hitting her directly, so that's why we broke it up a little bit. Yeah, actually, so I'll address that too. While we were talking, Justin spent a lot of time, if you notice the light in the back left corner, and our actress's hair. The shadow is placed really precisely to where there was a lot of care paid to how much of her hair is in light and how much is in dark. And it was a simple matter of just panning it, and really you can just have a lot of control over how it falls without having to do, it's just a matter of using your eyes and really looking at it and taking time, and instead of just saying, okay, that looks good enough, well, but can we make it look more beautiful? Because good enough is never the goal, right? I mean, you want it to be as beautiful as it can be every single time, in my opinion. And it's the things that make it look beautiful are just taking a little bit of time and being really intentional. I mean, it's the same thing with all the reflection. Like there's only 3 lights at play, but all of our time was spent with the exact placement of these lights and their brightness and the direction of them and everything that you see in front of the camera.
Wow. Something I want to point out before we move to the next one is we've swapped, it's annoying, but it's worthwhile. We swap between areas, right, to light different areas, and we spend the time, and we're precise, and it's like manually, like labor intensive and creatively pretty, like emotionally, mentally intensive. But just to see how different people who come to the set approach it different ways, right? And it's the exact same lights we have on offer here. It's the exact same set that we have. However, different creatives have made it their own. And that's just how cool it is, because there's not one right way of doing things. Like, there's so many right ways. It's just the intention behind it. And I think, seeing these two different the different interpretations from the talent involved, both in front and behind the camera, is pretty incredible, right? So kudos. Let's go to the corner. Yeah.
With this one too, you are lit now for the close-ups the way you are. So except for the background, but if you put the camera here, you're ready to go on both sides for the coverage. with a slight adjustment, but that's
great. Great comment. Perfect. Let's go to the corner for our office look. Woohoo! Oh, sorry. Come on in. Yeah. All right. Office space. Tell us what's up.
So yeah, we were basically trying to create the opposite of what the last team created. We tried to do a daytime one. So we tried to use some of the natural daylight and then realized that this white space back here was bouncing off a lot. So we used this one right here that you could only dim it high or low. So we used, what was this called again?
Where are you at? Sorry. Oh, a Cinefoil. What a good card.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Who has any questions or comments on the scene?
One thing I would say on this is if you're in, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, you go first.
If you're in an environment where you're doing this in a real scene and you're using the daylight out there, if it's a long scene, you're planning to shoot all day, make sure to study how that light's coming in because you've recreated as the light goes down. You got to maintain the same constant. So you got to really do a little bit of a light study to make sure you can recreate.
To add to that, though, there are apps for that. There are sun tracking apps. So when you're doing exactly the type of shoot John's doing, what I would do is go on a sun tracking app, put in the dates and location where I'm going to be, and literally know where the sun's going to be all day long, and base the schedule on that. Whether it means shooting you can do it very, 15 minutes in this room, 20, you know where the sun's going to be, when is it coming through any given window. So if you can plan your shoot to totally work around that, whether it means you want to work with direct light, so you're only there when direct light is coming in, or you want to work with indirect light, so you're only in that room when indirect light is coming there. It's a very functional thing to do. It's not that hard. It's free apps. The internet's amazing.